Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Catherine, and I am from SEB Housing. Tonight, we're going to run the lottery for the 24 affordable apartments at the Burrow in Marlborough. So we're going to get the lottery underway in just a few minutes. If you have any questions during this session, you are encouraged to go ahead and just type them into the chat via Zoom, or you can unmute yourself momentarily. When you came in, you were muted, so just keep that in mind. We tried to keep the noise to a minimum. First, just want to give you some background information on the lottery, how many applicants applied. There's no need to write any of this information down because we are going to be sending you a follow-up next steps email right after the lottery tonight that will have all of this info. So everyone should already have a lottery application number in the form of a series of numbers. So in this case, since there was 14 completed applications, your application number should be between A.001 and A.014. Let me know if you don't have that number, if you forgot it, because that is the number that I'm going to be calling tonight when we do the drawing. It won't be your name, it will just be that lottery number. So there's 24 total affordable units.
So I don't have that number.
You don't have that number? Okay. Let me look that up for you in just a moment. I see is your name as it is on there?
Kathleen.
Perfect. Okay. Let me see. Database here. So I see a Kathleen in here, but it looks like you missed deadline, so you weren't approved.
I didn't miss deadline. I got everything in on time.
So if you would have been in touch with a colleague of mine and you would have got an email that had your lottery application number. I'm going to send you a message now just because I'm not going to say your full name on the call.
Yeah.
It's the right person. So hold on one second.
I got a message saying it was incomplete, but if I did such and such, then it would be complete. So I did such and such and I mailed it all in. I emailed it all in.
Yeah, I don't know what deadline was given.
No, it was the same deadline, April 10th.
Got it. So you should have got confirmation with the number. I just sent you a message. If you can just confirm that that's your full name, you can write back and we can send you a follow-up email after the lottery to confirm. Because again, I don't have any complete applications by someone with.
Did you send me email?
No, I just sent you a chat message in Zoom.
Oh, I don't know how to do that.
Do you have it open on your computer right now? Or are you on phone?
There's the chat message. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my name.
Okay. So yeah, you're not going to be in the lottery drawing tonight, but the good news for you is that the lottery isn't full. So I will talk to the person who at SEB Housing that you were corresponding with to complete your application, and then we can figure out what happened and why you weren't included here tonight.
So if I'm not included tonight, then how does that leave me?
Right.
So since getting a place.
Yep. So since the lottery isn't full, let me see what you applied for here. Yeah. So,
but I have proof that I sent everything in.
Right. That's what I mean. So we just have to, I don't have any information on any of that right now. So in looking at your application, yeah, the 2 bedrooms are not full, meaning that there's more units than there are applicants. So it shouldn't be an issue. But like I said, we'll follow up. We have your email address here. I'll follow up with you by tomorrow morning at the latest to let you know what the next steps will be. You may not have received it on the date that it was due. I know you said you sent it in, so that's a whole nother issue, obviously.
Oh, I sent it in well before the date it was due.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me make sure that we get in touch with you tomorrow morning. And like I said, you applied for a bedroom size that has, that has ample units versus how many
Okay.
people applied for them. So there shouldn't be an issue there.
So can I get your number in case for some reason I don't hear from you?
Sure. So, I mean, the best way to get in touch with everybody at SEB is info. I'm going to send this to everyone in case you guys have questions on anything. Is emailing info@sebhousing.com. And there's a main number that goes along. Hold on, let's change this. If you guys have any questions after the lottery, I just put the info@sebhousing.com in the chat there, and then my number or the main number. We have so many numbers, but I want to get you to the right one. Would be 617-782-6900. But like I said, you should hear back from me in the morning.
Will I hear back from you by email?
Yeah.
How will I hear back from you? By email?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I apologize for that. Again, I'm sorry. I wish I had more info on what was sent in and all of that. But again, you won't be in the lottery tonight, but it shouldn't be an issue in terms of getting you on the wait list, which is what the purpose of the lottery is to establish the wait list.
But what's the wait list? How long is that?
The waiting list is just the waiting list is just everyone who is in the lottery, and you'll be added to that waiting list. It doesn't mean
how long will I?
Right. It doesn't mean you'll actually be waiting. It's just an order of priority in terms of being able to select a unit and move forward in the lease process.
Okay. And because there's open units, it should go fast.
Yeah,
Okay.
everyone will be, not everyone, but most people will be invited forward by the leasing office immediately, with the exception of those of you who applied for 3 bedrooms, because we do have more applicants than units for 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm going to stay and watch just because I'm interested.
Sure. Yeah, of course. That's fine.
Okay.
Yep. So like I said, anybody else, if you don't have your number, let me know. There's 24 total affordable units at the Burrow. There's 14 total completed applications. So there's going to be 14 households in the drawing and in the lottery tonight. There were 4 households who qualified for local preference. And to give you the breakdown of applications too, there are 13 one-bedroom apartments. We had 4 completed applications for those units. One of those applicants has local preference. There were 7 applications for the 2-bedroom apartments, and there were a total of 5 completed applications for those 7 2-bedrooms. 2 of those applicants have local preference, and then there was 6 applications for the 2 3-bedroom apartments, and one of those 2 households has local preference. We didn't have any completed applications by the deadline for studio units. 4 of the affordable units that are total are equipped with disabled accessible features. There was only 1 applicant who indicated a need for those features, so that person is going to have priority on the 3-bedroom disabled accessible list. You were informed of your lottery eligibility notice, which was an email that was sent to you after your application was approved. You were informed as to whether or not you qualified for local preference. Like I said, there's 4 applicants that did. And households with local preference are going to have a higher priority on the waiting list than those who don't have local preference. But keep in mind, we also were looking at your household size when your lottery number is called during tonight's lottery. You're not going to know ultimately where you are placed on the waiting list, because I do have to sort the results by household type and that local preference. So when you get the email from me later on tonight that has the waiting list attached to it, that is when you'll know where exactly you fall on the waiting list. So we're going to have 2 drawings tonight. One will be for local preference and one will be for the general drawing. So the first drawing that I'm going to do is going to have just 4 numbers drawn, and then I will add those 4 local preference numbers in with the general drawing, and I'll draw all 14 numbers from there. Like I said, I'm not going to be calling anyone's name. It will just be your lottery number to protect your privacy. And when I start the drawing, I'm going to be putting the cards that I have here, just 14 index cards. I'll show them to you after I pull them from this lottery box that I have right here. And I will pull them up to the camera so you can see the number. And I'll just take a second to jot it down here because it'll be easier than me typing it into another Word document. So following the lottery, like I said, an email is going to be sent out. I plan on sorting the results right after the meeting, so you'll get it sometime later on tonight with the next steps for the process, and also the waiting list themselves will be attached, like I said. Once you receive that email, you'll be able to locate your application number and see precisely where you stand on the waiting list. Once I have taken the results and sorted them, that's what you'll be seeing. Since there are more available units than applicants for the 1-bedroom and 2-bedrooms, all households on those waiting lists, on the 1- and 2-bedroom waiting list, are going to be invited forward to the next step, which is to complete the lease application with the leasing office. However, for the 3-bedroom units, there are fewer available units than applicants. So if you are one of the people that are further down the 3-bedroom waiting list, it doesn't mean that you're definitely not going to be called forward. It just means that in order to be called forward to move on to the next step in the process, everyone ahead of you on that waiting list would need to either be found eligible or withdraw their application because they're no longer interested. Which happens. I mean, a lot of times property managers and management companies need to call forward, 5 or more applicants to fill every unit. So just keep in mind that if you are not highlighted in green on the waiting list that you received from me, you won't be called forward immediately. So when you do get that waiting list, like I said, if you're highlighted in green, it signifies that your household is going to be immediately invited forward to complete that lease application. The leasing office, their contact information is going to be given to you in the email that's sent as well. So you will have the leasing office's contact information at the Burrow, and you can coordinate touring the unit if you haven't already, completing that lease application, and hopefully reserving one of the affordable units. Your placement on the waiting list is going to determine when you'll be able to reserve a unit. So if after we've sorted the waiting list and if you're first on that 1-bedroom waiting list, for example, you'll be the first household to select a unit, which is why it's beneficial to be called towards the top of the drawing. You'll have the first choice in a unit. Also, it's important to keep in mind that SEB has found that your household is program eligible, but you haven't yet been found lease eligible by the leasing office at the Burrow. So you want to keep in mind, because you don't want to give notice to your current landlord right now if you're renting, because you don't yet know if you're qualified to rent at the Burrow. You have to go through this next step first. The lease qualifications at the Burrow are probably very similar to other screenings that you've had if you've rented before, which are, background checks, reference checks, credit checks, that sort of thing. That's the next step in the process. So you just want to be mindful of any deadlines that the leasing office gives you during your lease application process, because you will lose your placement on the waiting list if you don't meet their deadlines. So after tonight's lottery, the public, so anyone who was not in the lottery, will be able to apply and be added to the waiting list behind you. As a lottery household, you'll have priority though. And then finally, before the drawing here, just a reminder that you'll be required to recertify every year if you, with the leasing office, if you are renting a unit in any affordable apartment. So if you are leasing a affordable unit at the Burrow, this time next year, you'll probably be getting a notice that you need to start your recertification process with their leasing office. So we just encourage everyone to maintain a file with your income, asset, and tax documentation just for as long as you're living in an affordable unit. Just a question here that came in. I see, what exactly does local preference mean? Why is there a waiting list if there are more units than applicants? So local preference means if your household either currently lives in the city of Marlborough, or if you work full-time in the city of Marlborough, you would qualify for local preference. This lottery has a local preference, meaning that local households will have higher positions on the waiting list, meaning they'll be towards the top of the waiting list. They'll get the first choice of units in this lottery, not for all of the waiting list, but for some of them. So that's what that means. Why is there a waiting list if there are more units than applicants? So it's the order of preference. So there has to be a waiting list for all of these affordable drawings, because it goes in the order of, you know, if the first person in the lottery is the top of the waiting list and they have first choice at the unit, and so on and so forth. It goes down the line. So especially for the 3 bedrooms, it's important because not everyone is going to be moving forward right away. Only the top households for that list will be moving forward, 2 households. So I'm going to go ahead with the drawing now. I'm going to start with the local preference drawing. This is just giving us a order of priority on the waiting list between the local preference households. So I have 4 lottery application numbers here that I'm going to put into the lottery box, and this represents the 4 people who have local preference. They were approved for local preference, and they submitted verification of it as well. So I'm going to pull out 4 numbers, move around a little bit, and I'm going to jot down the 4 numbers in order. The first, A.006. A.001. .004. Then the final number for the local drawing is 8. And so what I'm doing now is, for the second drawing, I am putting these 4 numbers into the general pool here, and all of the numbers are going to be going into the box. $14 numbers going into the lottery box here. Move around, and this is the general drawing. All 14 numbers will be called. I'm going to jot them down after each one. 007. 5. 2. 1. 6. 11. 3. 4. 14. 8. 10. 12. 9. And then just 1 number left here. 13. So that was the general drawing. I will be sorting the results after this meeting, and everyone who was entered into the lottery, so every household who completed an application and was entered into the lottery will be on the waiting list. If you applied for more than one unit size, you'll be on more than one waiting list, meaning you'll be on, for example, the 2-bedroom and the 3-bedroom waiting list. I don't think we had anyone who applied for 2 units in this lottery, but if you did, just keep that in mind. And so the email that you get from me over the next few hours will have the waiting list attached, and we'll also have next steps written out for you, which will be to complete a lease application with the leasing office over at the Burrow, unless you are not highlighted in green on the waiting list. In that case, you would just have to wait until applicants ahead of you drop off the waiting list if they do. Any other questions before I let you go? You'll know more about where you stand when you get that email, obviously. And Kathleen, I'll get back to you, obviously, in the morning. All right, thank you all for...
Wait, sorry. Can you just give me your name?
Yep, my name is Catherine.
Oh, Catherine, okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep, no problem. So we'll be in touch tomorrow, and everybody else, you'll get an email from me later on tonight. Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks a lot.
Good luck. Bye. Have a good night.